Hey yo everyone, it's Dementio's Pawn and welcome to a video I don't really hope that I didn't have to make. My response to Ben 10 versus Green Lantern. Now let me get a few things out of the way. First, since I'm making a mostly negative video on Death Battle, let me just establish I do not hate Death Battle. I've even made 2 videos that are mostly, one of them being completely positive about the show. One being my thoughts on Death Battle season, whatever season was last one. I honestly can't remember at this point. I think it was 8 or something. I can't remember. And the other being my reaction to the first episode of our current season, being Aquaman vs. Namor, which I thought was a really good episode. And I'm a fan of the series. Heck, if you go to my subscriptions part of my channel, I am subscribed to the Death Battle YouTube channel. Meaning, I like their content most of the time. However, there have been a few Death Battles in the past that I have disagreed with. Shovel Knight vs. Screech McDuck, Shadow vs. Mewtwo, Tracer vs. Scout, so on and so forth. The majority of the Death Battles I do agree with. For example, Aquaman vs. Namor, Black Panther vs. Batman, and Mario vs. Sonic. Specifically, the newest version. I thought for the time that the old Mario vs. Sonic was good, but right now, I just think the new is better. Heck, that modern Mario vs. Sonic is actually my favorite Death Battle episode. But now let's get into another thing I'd like to get. Unlike my commentary videos of the past, where I just tried to form my thoughts into a bit of a objective manner, this is completely subjective, and I wouldn't be surprised if a few people actually agree with this episode. And I will admit, I was a bit bummed out when Ben lost because, while Green Lantern is one of my favorite DC superheroes, Ben is one of my all-time favorite fictional characters. And the Ben 10 series as a whole is one of my favorite franchises in all of media. If instead of ever doing a top 10 favorite video game franchises, I do a top 10 favorite fictional media franchises video, Ben 10 be at the very least in the top 5. But without further ado, let's get on with what this video's gonna be about. There are 3 things I'm mainly doing in this video. One, the video in general that I'll be talking about. I will not be talking about where the characters' information in general, the opening analysis, because I agree with everything. As far as I know or can remember, they didn't get anything wrong. Yeah, they really didn't get anything wrong about Ben. Except one mistake that I would have made when they mention Ultimate Waybig, or just Waybig fighting the Dagon. They show footage of him fighting Malware. Which, I mean, it's a very minor thing. If people look up the Dagon, they'll be able to tell the difference. Heck, Malware is the same species as one of Ben's first aliens. And, well, I did think the fight was good for the most part. There is one thing specifically that I didn't like. The representation of Ben. I do feel that there could have been a lot more creativity that could have been used. Heck, even the part where Ben jokingly turned into gray matter, he could have used that big brain to try and get Hal, but then transformed into something else. Because, gray matter won't work. And I do feel that we should have got more aliens. Like Swamp Fire and Humongosaur. Humongosaur specifically because most of the time when Ben's watching malfunctions, or guess doesn't get what he asked for, he asked for Humongosaur. At least when he had him. I also think that, yeah, and I really would like to see feedback in Chroma Stone simply because they could just absorb Hal's attacks. And I didn't like the representation of Alien X. He feels more like a brawler, and his clones, they aren't shadow clones or anything similar to them. They are all Alien X, they don't disappear. So even after Hal put away the shield, they would have kept punching him or something. And when Ben tries willing him out of existence, Hal proceeds to get Thanos instead of just popping out of existence. A clip used in the battle was, well, not battle, but the beginning analysis for Ben is Kevin saying they could blink and we'd be gone. That wouldn't be like a Thanos disappearing. It'd be a blink. You wouldn't even realize you're dead. You just wouldn't exist anymore. Without any time to react. And if things even got dicey, I feel like they could have just had Alien X create a universe without Hal. And sure, that's a bit anticlimactic, but I mean, it's possible. Anyway, let me get to the post-analysis, as I disagree heavily with this. And I will be watching clips, of course, to refresh myself on their points, so I'll be right back. So the first point I disagree with in the post-analysis is Ben was always playing catch-up. But if you look at the animation, at points, it was the opposite. And before you say you can't use the animation for that's just there for entertainment purposes, every channel or just content creator has something that makes them unique in a sense. For example, 8-Bit Ryan has crazy high-level editing that makes the videos super entertaining. Pyrocynical is just downright hilarious, and as much as he is mainly a commentary channel, he does often stray away from that with game analysis at times. And let me think of another example. Or just a robot who's just a robot. Or East Goes Boom, who, well, he does make more original content now. His whole thing back in 2016, back then, before the Raspberry Let's Plays, before getting revived with FNAF VR, they kind of died for a bit. His whole thing was he would do voices of the FNAF characters and them playing games or reacting to something. That's what made him unique. As much as he was decently popular, not many other people did that, despite the popularity. You know, my whole thing is, well, I don't really have a thing yet. I'm still kind of early into my career. I'm trying to think of something. It might just be the wide types of content I have, whether it be creepypasta readings, general opinions, countdowns, let's plays, and all that. I guess you could say my thing is the sheer amount of variety. And Death Bell's animations are what their freaking thing is. Take away everything I mentioned about the other channels and they wouldn't be there wouldn't really be a purpose to watch them. Therefore, I think when critiquing death battles or debunking them, the animation should be taken into account. So back like I was saying, for example, how Ben was not playing catch-up, but Hal was instead. While this is incredibly creative, Ben's using Heat Blast. What does Hal do? He conjures up a fire extinguisher. If Hal was ahead during the battle, then this wouldn't have happened. If Ben was the one playing catch-up, he'd have to transform into a completely different alien in order to counter Hal's attacks. But that's not what happens. And even then, the way Hal wins in the animation is because Alien X mentions time, and then Hal goes through time. Back to the beginning of the fight, and while I don't think it would work, which is we'll get into later, it proves that Hal was playing catch-up, not Ben. Alright, so the next complaint I have with the post-analysis is saying that Ben's singular alien feats aren't as impressive as Hal's feats. For example, Diamond Head couldn't survive a plant-sized explosion as much as his durability is impressive. Yes, but Ben has other aliens who could survive planets exploding in their face. Specifically, Alien X, who has survived the universe being destroyed and he didn't even flinch. Pretty sure he can survive a planet exploding. The only thing that's specifically been stated that Alien X can't survive, durability-wise, is being erased from time. As shown in And Then There Were None, where Vilgax uses a Chrono Sapien time bomb, and Atomic X, one of Ben 10,000's transformations, which uses Alien X's DNA, gets destroyed. And then he says, accelerates not fast enough as Hal, but Jet Ray is. He's traveled through hyperspace, and it hasn't even been stated if that was his top speed or not. Even Clockwork can move as fast as time, which is faster than the Flash, because the Flash has stated that Reverse Flash still feels like a blur at him while Flash is going at his fastest. Clockwork has been, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, has been stated to go roughly around the same speed. So unless Alice performed a feat that is faster than the Flash, no, Ben has more transformations that are faster. And he says that Waybig has stated that he can't hit as hard. Waybig has done a great job at fighting living energy. Also, Alien X can definitely hit way harder. I mean, Ben literally has to, when he's going for physical combat against people he doesn't really want to hurt, he has to hold back as Alien X. If he has to hold back against people as Alien X, I'm pretty sure that's just comparable to his insane power. Alright, next thing I have a problem with is they state that Alien X couldn't stop the universe from exploding. Not exploding, being destroyed. Which is why I had to create a whole new one. That is not the case. Ben didn't know the stakes, because he doesn't even have full control of Alien X yet, and you see, Ben even says that wait, the universe is being destroyed or something alongside that, and then is ultimately agreed that Ben can just create a pretty much identical universe. So it's not that he couldn't stop the universe from being destroyed, he just didn't know the stakes. And heck, that whole catching the Big Bang thing that happens in the last episode of Omniverse, that's because Ben knows the stakes now. If he doesn't stop it, then it's game over, essentially. So he catches it and attempts to stop it, which, seeing as Ben won in that episode and ended Malchurin's plan, I'd say he succeeded. The next thing is, there are certain powers that Hal can resist that Alien X apparently can't. Hang on. Sorry about that, but while I agree, for the most part, you say time manipulation. Not only is time manipulation used in the exact scene you show from the battle, but it's the literal first power that is shown that Alien X has. At the time, people could just assume, oh, he's an alien that could manipulate time. So, I'm pretty sure that's like saying Heat Blast can't resist fire. He controls it. So those are all the claims that I disagree with in the post-analysis. But now, let me go over why I think ways that Ben possibly could have won, or could just stop Hal from winning. I'll start with 1. The Omnitrix fail-safes. Ben quotes that he cannot be killed. Sure, there may be ways to end him, but I don't think Hal has access to any of those. Even though Hal does cut off Ben's arm with the scissors, the Omnitrix's failsafes would have turned them into someone who could in turn survive it, like Goop or Diamond Head, or someone with regenerating limbs like Swamp Fire, Wildvine, maybe even Blocks. Also, how Hal wins, specifically going back in time, would not work because Alien X and the Soda Bro effect, where beings in the Ben 10 universe, beings with time powers essentially can detect rifts, I guess, or changes in time. Therefore, Ben could detect that Hal was going back in time, stopped him, and would have continued fighting him. And even then, he couldn't tell specifically when Hal went through. He could have used the duplication, went to every era of time to see specifically where Hal went. So, the way Hal won couldn't work. Now now let's get into ways I think Ben could have won. One of the first ones that came to mind for me personally is specifically not looking at some of the overpowered aliens and seeing how Ben could have won with those. I haven't seen anyone brought him up, so I'm going to talk about Ghostfreak first. And the simple fact that Ghostfreak can possess people. And I know that Hal is resistant to mind control, but possession and mind control aren't exactly the same thing. Whereas mind control is someone just taking over your brain. Possession is someone taking over you entirely. And while Ghostfreak doesn't typically possess people, so it's not exactly sure how strong his possession powers are. The only real notable time he possessed anyone was in episode, I can't remember the name, but in Omniverse when he transforms into Ghostfreak for the first time and he's at Gwen's college. He possesses Darkstar, Michael Morningstar, technically. And even then, Ghostfreak could have scared Hal and then got an opening with a stronger alien. Because, as seen in... I keep forgetting names of episodes, but it's on Bozo's debut episode in the series as a whole. And how does Ben win? He scares the absolute crap out of Zombozo. And while we don't actually see what Zombozo sees other than a bunch of tentacles, so it might not affect Hal all that much, it's still a possibility. And another way is Upgrade, where, while it's very advanced, Hal's ring is technology, and Upgrade can take over technology and control it, making Hal's ring essentially useless since Ben controls it now. There are also elements that I thought of. For example, Upchuck. No matter what Hal throws at him, Upchuck can eat essentially anything and just fire it back. Cannonbolt was able to take down a being that devours planets, though not sure if it would specifically have any advantages against Hal. Another alien that I think could have been used, not specifically for a way that Ben could win, but just in general, Humongosaur. He's one of the most iconic aliens in the series. Now I'm going to talk about both Chroma Stone and Feedback here because the way I think they could have helped Ben win is the same, basically. They can absorb Hal's ring powers. Sorry. Meaning that he can... Talking does not work, apparently. Meaning that just like Upgrade, all of Hal's efforts with the ring would have been entirely useless. And now, let's talk about another alien. Clockwork. Sure, Green Lanterns have shown that they can survive being wiped out from a universe. But time is a totally different story, as I established by bringing up the Chronosapien time bomb in Atomic X, shows that even Alien X isn't immune to time. So if we get really down to it, a Chronosapien could defeat Alien X. And if Alien X easily has the power to defeat Hal, I don't see why Clockwork couldn't be able to. The only disadvantage is his speed. And something else in the combo that I think could have worked with Master Control is Upgrade. Upgrade make it so Hal can't contemporarily not use the ring, and then transform into all things jerry-rig to try and take it apart. Or even have Gravitack mess with gravity, or make a black hole, or Atomics just throw constant nuclear energy at him. Or there's one, or just by the fact that the Omnitrix is more powerful than Hal's ring. You wanna know why? Because Hal's ring has a time limit. And the charging time is not instantaneous. Meaning that while Hal's ring is out of power, Ben could just go for the kill. Whether it be just by someone speedy, like Jet Ray, or someone powerful, like Waybig, Atomics, or Alien X. Also, the fact that Hal's ring can be removed, while Ben's Omnitrix can't. That was what the energy feedback was for. In fact, in the beginning of the fight, they show how trying to take off the Omnitrix, but the energy feedback prevents it. So in all possible ways, in my opinion, I don't think there's a way that Ben could lose to specifically Hal. And I honestly think that he is one of, if not the most, one of the most powerful characters in fiction. Sure, there are characters who could just will Ben out of existence, even as Alien X. Characters like Thanos. So on and so forth. Characters with multi-dimensional level powers. But Hal is not one of those characters. And I just feel sour inside that this was Ben's one time to shine, and he didn't get it because he wasn't accurately represented. I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.